think we're on the internet, Joe. Hey, 44 viewers. Oh man, this is gonna get serious, y'all. What's up? We're here with the first Finsweet press conference. Got a little music in the background. We got Joe Krug in the house. Got some major announcements about what comes next here at Finsweet, what we're building, the products we're about to launch, the things we're doing for the community. So real quick, it is Veterans Day, so thanks to anybody in the audience who is part of the armed forces. We appreciate your service. Just wanted to say a quick shout out for that. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce Joe. Joe's going to guide most of this conversation today because it's all about the different products we're building and the things they've been working at Finsweet. I stepped in about a month ago to help them kind of accelerate some of the communications and different things. And so this is our first time we're going to get live with the crowd, and we're excited to be doing all this. So what's up, Joe?
Hello, hello. This is really exciting for me. We're going to be going over a whole bunch of new things. First, starting with our big decision to drop design work. Then we're going to get into some new products that we're launching. And then we're going to follow it up with our CMS library updates and our new talk show coming in a few weeks. So let's get started right on top. If you are here, you probably have heard this news that we are dropping design as a service to our clients. We are going to be only developing, we're going to be implementing designs provided by our clients, and we're really pumped about this. We're already seeing boosts in efficiency. We're seeing a lot of happiness from the team. If you want more on this, there is a full blog post explaining all of this decision in detail. What we're covering today is some of the questions that people have been asking us throughout the week. That a lot of people have commented on this. They're asking questions as agencies, as freelancers, as the Webflow team. And let's get into these questions. Yeah. People are asking, design is so important and design is what you're known for. Why are you dropping it? And what will you do with all your design talent? We are not dropping design. Please be very clear about that. We are still going to be a design leader in the Webflow space. We are simply not designing for our clients. We are going to be developing for our clients. And we're putting all that design work, all that design effort into designing for you. We have tools, we have products. We're going to see all of that today. And none of that is possible without our design talent. So our design talent is simply being transitioned into things that can benefit you, things that can benefit us internally at Finsweet. So we're not dropping design, we are still going to be designing. And then the most popular question is there enough development only work? And will there be enough money in development only? Yes and yes. Right now at Finsweet, around 50% of our projects are design driven. Around 50% of our projects are development driven. So already we are taking on a lot of these projects. As we work with bigger companies, as more enterprise level companies are coming to Webflow, we see them needing more and more services of development and implementation. Why? Big companies have marketing teams. Big companies have design teams. They do not have Webflow teams. No big company has a full team of Webflow developers ready to build their site. So they already have the strategy, they already have the marketing, they already have the designers, and now they're coming to Webflow to connect with experts in Webflow. So this drop of design is going to let us focus more on working with these bigger companies, getting people set up with Webflow in a way that makes Webflow really appealing for them to use. And that's really exciting for me, because seeing these big companies taking their old processes, their old setups in websites, changing text could take 2 or 3 or 4 weeks. Now they can be set up with Webflow. They can manage the entire build on their own. And by us dropping design and focusing on setting those companies up, we're going to get better and better and better at it. So this is a way for us to super focus. And now we're going to open up to more QA from you, the audience. If you have any questions about this change, if you are confused, if you want to just ask us something right here, we're ready to answer that for you.
Joe, can you talk a little bit, while people prepare their questions, can you talk a little bit about the decision-making process here? Because I think that's what people really are excited about. Yeah, they have questions, but can you talk about like this happened real fast? And yeah, the blog article explains everything, but let's walk through that process. You know, it's like the beginning of the year, you're considering an offer essentially to sell Finsweet for $1.3 million. And you got to be like licking your chops thinking I'm about to cash out here and start my next thing. And that's what led to like this idea of let's do something new. And so walk me through a little bit of that thought process. Walk me through your decision making, and then I'll check the comments real quick, and I'll have a couple questions for you as you come back from that.
Sure. This idea has been brewing in my head all year. Never actually thought about making the decision until about a month or two ago, but all year I was always thinking about what if we dropped design? What if we didn't have to deal with all of these problems in design? And looking back on the projects and being more organized with our projects, we've been becoming a lot more organized throughout all of 2020. I have a much better view of what projects are working, what projects are not working, the size of companies and the size of projects in design versus development. And it's very clear that the development projects are much more clean. The timelines make sense. We can plan better. We can stay organized better. And as we grow, we're at 25 full-time people now. If we get to 100 people and we can't have clear timelines in design, that becomes a mess. When we get to develop, we get to have these clear timelines. We get a lot more structure. And now 100 people implementing Webflow sites doesn't seem that crazy. 100 people designing Webflow sites, I can see getting crazy. So we're looking to grow. We're looking to do a lot more in Finsweet, and we need to be smart about how we grow. And this is an effort to be more smart about that.
Great. All right, so let me give some shout outs. We got R.R. Abbott in the house, Francesco, Scott Humphrey, Kevin Handy says, I love the design style you've got, but it's clear that development is your calling. You got this, so that's a little bit of encouragement there. Jay Poucher's asking if we're hiring more design talent. So talk about hiring, talk about like what you're looking for in candidates. How do people get jobs at Finsweet? Like where does this lead for the rest of what we're doing as an organization?
Sure. We are absolutely hiring more design talent. And if you want to join us as a designer, you would have to be passionate about creating community tools, about creating extensions to the native Webflow platform, creating designs for libraries, for products. If you like that type of design work and you are a designer, yeah, absolutely. We'll take as many designers as we can. As we ramp up more development efforts, we need more designers to design the landing pages, to design the products, to design the tools. So yes, we are continuing to hire. We are definitely focused more on hiring in the technical space, but designers always welcome.
Two things, Joe. Are designers, a question Caleb's asking here, are the designers also fluent in Webflow, or is there a hard separation between the developers that, you know, we're going development first? Are they Webflow fluent? Can you explain a little bit about that dynamic? And then I'll follow up with another one after that.
Webflow knowledge is required to be on Finsweet. Why? Webflow is very different compared to other platforms. Whether you're designing a web page or designing a product or designing a tool for the community, knowing and understanding the Webflow platform is going to make you better than somebody who does not know the Webflow platform. If you're trying to create a tool with us, as a designer, we even expect for you to come with valuable information, valuable insights into how we can improve this tool. So yes, as a designer, as pretty much anybody on Finsweet, you have to know Webflow or be ready to learn it very, very fast.
Yeah. And we're going to walk through, there's a people asking like what comes next, what are we working on? We're going to do a real detailed walkthrough of what is coming down the pipeline. That's the next section. We just want to really address any other questions we have about this specific announcement. Joe, can you talk a little bit about the ecosystem, the landscape, and maybe this will be questions after we introduce the CMS, just because I don't want to introduce things that people might have questions about some of the stuff we're going to answer in the roadmap. But can you talk a little bit about the landscape right now? What are you seeing in the growth of Webflow as an industry? What are you talking to with the folks at Webflow? I mean, is there any juice you can give us here?
Absolutely. I remember when we got the HelloSign project. And at the time, this was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago now. HelloSign was one of the biggest companies that was building their whole site on Webflow. And it was very rare to see a company of that size go and do that. As the years progress, now 2, 3, 4 years later, we're seeing more and more companies enter into the Webflow space. Big companies, companies that have been around for many years, companies that are publicly traded, companies that have tens of thousands of employees and a very old, outdated system for managing their website. And this is increasing and increasing and increasing. This is really beneficial for Webflow. And of course, Finsweet moving into this implementation targeted at enterprises, we're ready to get these new people that are now starting to move to Webflow.
Got it. And let's do one last thing for those people who are worried about what's going to happen to our designers, what's going to happen to, like our beautiful websites that we deliver. This isn't really, I know you mentioned it briefly before, but we're not stifling designers. Can you talk about how we're going to set them free to work on some of the products? And we'll use that as a transition right into this FN roadmap, which is the next section.
Sure. The designers love to design what they want to design. That any designer can agree to that. That you want to do what you want to do. You're creative. You want to express yourself. When they're designing for client sites, 0% of the time, we design what we want, they accept it, and there's no revisions. Of course, people have comments about revisions and change this and change that. Now, designers do not have to worry about any of those comments. We don't micromanage here. We do not give heavy design comments for our designers. So designers are going to be empowered to go and do what they want to do in design. Maybe they want to try a new style that they found last week. Maybe they want to experiment with a brand new style. Maybe they are looking to make something really colorful, something really minimalistic. Go for it. You can pick different tasks that we have available for you as a designer at Finsweet, and you can go and do what you want to do. There's not going to be much oversight. There's not going to be much micromanagement. And because of that, our designers will be able to design more. They'll be able to design happier, and they'll be able to really show off more of their design skills, which is really exciting.
Great. We have two questions that just came in, and then I want to move into this roadmap section. But James Clements is asking, do you see this development-only business model working for individuals, small Webflow studios, or only for someone like us that's working with larger clients? Do you think this is a smart play for other aspiring Webflow agencies?
I don't know. If you're just starting out, you're very likely dealing with small companies, local businesses, maybe some medium-sized companies, teams of 10 or less. Most of these people are not going to have the resources to design their own site, or they don't even know about this process of designing somewhere and developing somewhere else. So if you're brand new in the space, no, this is not something you should jump into right away. I do think you need to grow your portfolio, become a lot more reputable, and then once the bigger companies are ready for your implementation work, then you can go and capitalize on that.
Great. So hopefully that answers your question. I think that was, who was that? That was James. Jordan saying hi from the UK. Appreciate you, Jordan. Max Shepley, this is probably a good question to answer here is, do you see Webflow's own feature roadmap crushing tools and product businesses, kind of like what we're doing here? Member Stack, he's saying, Foxy, etc. Do we think Webflow's own product development will create issues for us down the road, or maybe even cancel out our efforts? Have you thought about that at all?
I have, and I do not see that as any type of threat. Webflow has a great native set of features, but the type of things that we're doing, I'm very confident that Webflow is not going to release natively anytime soon. So no, Webflow is growing. I see them growing in a lot of different places, but we are picking out apps and creating products, creating tools that we do not see Webflow moving into.
Great. I'm going to answer this one. Let's see. Jay Poucher, I love that thinking. Need to work for you guys. Hey, we're always looking for great talent. Jonas, we're not looking to open up new offices. We're all remote. So everybody's just distributed across the globe. Finsweet doesn't have like a big main corporate HQ. And so we can work from anywhere in the world. And that's kind of one of the exciting things, I think, is that the team is fully distributed. Um, there's a couple more questions, but I kind of want to jump into this roadmap because this is where it gets, really exciting, I think. So we're going to start with the first little nugget here. Let me get this out of the way and let's start talking to them about, this is a real little simple feature coming up, but it's going to offer great value. And then let's dive into the CMS that comes after it. So your stage is yours, Joe.
Sure. Okay. First is a new fun little library for calendar invites. We at Finsweet, we're doing a lot more with live video. We brought Reimar on for a reason. We're doing more of this type of stuff. We want you to be engaged with us, to communicate with us, to do more events. And a great way to help organize that is to have a library that lets you add calendar invites to your Webflow build with a copy paste of a script, with adding some data attributes to buttons, with creating a class structure on your page. You'll be able to create calendar invites dynamically generated with Webflow CMS. It's going to work with templates. It's going to work with dynamic lists. And it's very simple. As with all of our projects, we're going to film a library of tutorials for this, so it will be very straightforward how to implement this. And you'll see us implement this also when we do our live talk show, which is going to be discussed later in this stream. We'll have this installed on our site. You'll be able to add individual events to your calendar to make sure you don't miss them. It's going to work with localization. You'll be able to include Weglot translation, Google Translate. This is going to work along with the library. You can create a reminder system. You can have people go and RSVP for your events. It's very flexible, very powerful, and simple to implement.
That's right. Okay, so that was like a little tease. Max Shipley says, I've been looking for that. Wait till they see what comes next. So let's jump into the big kid stuff here. This is like the Mac Daddy of what's coming. So what is Nobull, Joe?
This is why I've been so excited for this press conference, that we are building a family of products that's going to significantly increase what you can do inside Webflow. This family of products is called Nobull, and it is an app for no code in Webflow. With Nobull, we are going to launch with 3 initial products. We have Nobull CMS, we have Nobull Filter, and we have Nobull Block. Let's jump into Nobull CMS. Nobull CMS is going to require Webflow hosting. This is an add-on to Webflow. It has absolutely no relation to Webflow CMS. We are not using the Webflow CMS API. It is completely separate. It lets you put an overlay, a CMS overlay, on your Webflow hosted site. Yes, it is SEO friendly. Yes, you can create templates out of static Webflow pages. Yes, you can add dynamic lists to your Webflow build. What's really nice about this is you can pull information from other sources. Webflow CMS is great for so many things. It is not great for some other things. You can have your data in Google Sheets. You can have your data in Airtable, a JSON file, a CSV file, and we'll also be custom implementing, setting people up with their own API data feeds into this product. And let's go on to the next page.
Joe, talk
what's really nice
about the 10,000 item limit, why this is important for enterprises, some of the value that this kind of usurps here.
Absolutely. My favorite part about this product is the idea of creating a collection and then distributing that collection over many different Webflow sites. We need this at Finsweet, and 100% of the enterprise level clients that we work with need this feature. Let's take Finsweet videos as an example. I can go and create a collection of all the videos that we have. That is my collection, and I can distribute it to finsweet.com, to CMS Library, to Finsweet Hacks, to all of our different properties, and I can customize which data shows in different sites. So one collection, multiple sites. The collection is not tied to a specific Webflow build. And after we start to go to connect it to different sites, we can filter through items, sort through items, much like Webflow CMS, but completely separated. And since it's completely separated, we don't have the 10,000 item limit. We don't have any limitations with CMS API. We don't have any limitations that you may find in Webflow CMS, because we built this with the idea that Webflow CMS doesn't work for 100% of use cases. The goal here is to bring more people to Webflow. And let me make this really, really clear. This is not a replacement for Webflow CMS. Absolutely not. We are Webflow focused. We are not in the business of taking business away from Webflow. We are only going to bring more business to Webflow. We are actually going to check to make sure your site is Webflow hosted in order for you to use this. And even though we don't have to do that, even though this really could work on any Webflow, on any website build, we are going to require people to be Webflow hosted. And that's really important for us. We're here to grow with Webflow. We are not here to take away from Webflow.
Yeah,
and that's Nobull CMS. That's an exciting one.
Yeah,
Man,
we're getting lots of game changer comments, lots of people giving us, props, kudos, etc. inside of the comments here. If you have questions about this, people are asking about timing, they're asking about availability, etc. Yeah. We'll answer all those questions at the end. Let's get through all the different ones, because if you think this is exciting, it just gets better as we go. And so let's just keep going here, Joe. Let's jump into the next step, which is the filter.
Okay, Nobull Filter. Nobull CMS and Nobull Filter are in development. We are making very good progress. Everything is going really well. With Nobull Filter, this is our no-code version of our CMS library. CMS library is a front-end JavaScript-based tool, and you can do a lot with it. But we understand that there are limitations, and you can't do everything with CMS library. So we have created Nobull Filter to fill in all the gaps and to work seamlessly with Webflow CMS. This one does work with CMS, and you have to be on Webflow CMS in order to use this. The real power of this comes into filter groups. And inside filter groups, you can create a filter UI. And that filter UI can have different triggers, and those triggers can have conditional logic. And let's go back to the last one. If you look on this screen on the right, you can set up a trigger, you can put logic rules, and then add conditions to those logic rules. And you can create a series of buttons, a series of UI elements inside a filter group, and create multiple filter groups to filter through a collection list. What is really nice about this is the level of flexibility. So imagine we have a grid of cars. Maybe we want a button that says premium. Premium isn't anything in our CMS. It's something that we are deciding on the spot. Maybe we change it every year. We can say premium is going to filter cars between 2018 and 2020. It's also going to filter cars that are over 60,000 USD. And it's also going to filter cars with the make of Audi, BMW, and Mercedes. And that premium button can have all of those rules attached to it. So when someone goes and clicks that button, it's going to look into your CMS fields, see the data from that item, and return all of those conditions. So this is really a game changer for filtering. We're super excited to allow everybody to use our filtering tool here.
And Joe, real quick, this works behind pagination, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Which is, I think, is an exciting feature, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the most limiting thing of our CMS library. Anytime people can't use our library, it's because they need to search behind native Webflow pagination. So now that we're using the CMS API with this product, you are able to go and do very advanced filtering. The data does not need to be inside the item like CMS library. And we're able to go and actually see your collection information and return all of those items behind the native pagination.
Boom, boom. All right. OMFG excitement level equals max. But there's more, because we're not done yet.
There is more.
We ain't playing, y'all.
There is more. We've been growing our technical efforts, and we have a whole team of technical developers developing these products for us. Nobull Block, this one is just about ready. We're preparing to send it off to Airtable for review. We have our beta testers just about ready to be set up. And what Nobull Block is an Airtable block that lets you manage Webflow CMS from Airtable. So there's a number of reasons why you may not want to manage Webflow CMS inside Webflow. And a lot of people want all different features for Webflow CMS that's not possible. Inside Airtable, you can do conditional logic, you can do formulas, you can do math. And because you can do that in Airtable, now you can do that in Webflow CMS and manage that Webflow CMS from Airtable. If you make a change in Airtable, you can then publish that with a manual click or automatically on a schedule to Webflow CMS.
And I think this is something we've seen a couple other ones pop up in this space. We've seen a couple other Airtable, like everyone's using Airtable as the base of their kind of like no code little apps. What makes this different? Talk about the simplicity and connectivity. Tell me a little bit about why this block is more powerful than either some of the other stuff, or why it adds so much value to the CMS just out of the box.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to that screen. Yeah, the field mapping. This is what takes it to the next level. Since this is an Airtable block, we have direct access to the fields from Airtable. All of your columns in Airtable can show up in a dropdown, and you can manually map each one to the field you want in Webflow CMS. And you can see from this screenshot here that you can make these direct mappings just like when you're uploading information to Webflow CMS. You upload the CSV, you can tie this column to this field, this column to this field. It works in the same way. And once it's set up, it just works. You don't have to continuously update this, or you're not logging into a dashboard and you're not using another application. You're right inside Airtable, and you already use Airtable daily. So when you want to make an update to your Webflow site, you don't have to log into Webflow now. You can just make that change direct from Airtable.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kevin
I should
wants to
say
know
at Finsweet,
Go ahead.
yeah, at Finsweet, we're using Airtable a lot more. And that comes with that organization I was talking about earlier, where we have things in Airtable, and usually we have to go and manually update that inside Webflow. Now we can manage all of our collections right from Airtable. This is going to save a lot of steps. This is going to give us a lot more power in our CMS. That what I talked about earlier with the conditional logic, the math, the formulas, you can do this in Airtable, which means you can really do this in Webflow CMS now. And that just blows my mind. I'm really excited to see what other people do with this and what we do with this.
Yeah. Let's see. Kevin wants to know if he can finally pay us for Nobull. I think there's been some people that have asked us in the past, like, how do they pay us, for some of the products? Yeah. And it's kind of been, free support in the Suite.js, et cetera. But do you want to answer some of that? Nobull will be a paid platform. And then Max has got a question here, but let's finish the whole segment, and then we'll go deep into Q&A. Yeah.
Sure.
Let's just go back here real quick, and let's tease 2021. Let's tease the rest of this and see what happens.
We are actively developing CMS Filter and Block. We expect to be done with this within a few months, and we're not stopping there. It's not a 3-product app. We are going to continue creating these mini products that will help you take your Webflow game to the next level. We have in the pipeline specs confirmed, ready to develop, Leads, Collector, and Form. Leads is going to be a marketer's dream. It will let you add very dynamic information to your form automatically without even interacting with your Webflow build. Nobull Collector, this comes direct from Rymar. This is going to be a really cool tool that will let you add information to Webflow on the fly. And then we have Nobull Form, maybe to be called Nobull Post. And that is going to be a tool that lets you post from a Webflow form to tools like Airtable or right back into Webflow. And these are all right part of the Nobull family. We're very excited for this. It's not going to be JavaScript based. Please remember that. And yes, you will be able to pay us. Don't worry. We've been giving a lot of things away for free. We're buttering you up. We are making everything really appealing. And now we are going to release these products and say, hey, if you want this extra functionality, go pay us.
Yeah. So let's maybe let's dive into a couple of the questions from that segment, because there were a couple. Max was asking something about altering creation and modification dates on Webflow CMS items with that Nobull Block. Is that something that you'll be able to do? Do you know?
I don't really want to answer too many technical questions. We have an ongoing list of things that you can and can't do. I think Nobull Block works for 90 to 95% of all use cases. There's a lot of things. There's a few tiny limitations. I'm not going to comment on specifics now, but when we do release it, there will be a very clear list of this is everything you can do. These are the things that are limited.
Can you talk a little bit about the plans for release? We're getting a lot of feedback. How do I migrate from Airtable into Webflow? Lots of, like you said, this little technical questions. And so what do you see? When will people be able to get their hands on this? Is anybody playing with parts of this now? I know the Airtable block has been passed around a little bit. We're kind of talking to a few key players to see about how do we get good distribution from the launch. And so talk to me about what your timeline is for launching this thing, for putting these tools out there, at least this first round that we just covered now.
Sure. Nobull Block is definitely going to be the first one that drops. We are actively testing it. We are submitting it to Airtable this week. And we're first going to onboard some power users to Airtable. There are a few people in the community that we see as super power users of Airtable. We want them to get their hands on this first before we publicly release it. If you're one of those people, if you are an Airtable power user, send us a message. We'd like to get you on.
Yeah.
In terms of timing, let's see. I could see the block being released within 1 to 2 months. I don't know how fast Airtable's review process is, so I can't really comment on the specifics there. Nobull CMS and Filter, those should be done around the same time. We're expecting early 2021.
Great. Quick question. All of this is effing sweet. Nobull. Thanks, Jay. Let's see. Do you know if this will be a one-time payment or on a subscription basis?
Great question. Great question. Every product is different. And as an agency, we understand that some products should be subscription-based and some should not be subscription-based. Each product is going to be approached with this agency mindset in the forefront. We want agencies to feel very comfortable using these products, onboarding their clients, and not having to worry about a subscription if a subscription is not really needed. So we haven't decided any pricing. We're all about focusing on designing and developing what's needed and then going to pricing. So none of that's finalized, but yes, there will be some one-timers and then there will be products that are subscription-based.
Great. Okay, so I think that covers most of the Nobull announcements. We've gone through the Q&A from the crowd here. We've still got 70 plus viewers. We've got 75 on the live stream. We've got 8 and 6 sporadically on Facebook pages. So thank you everyone for hanging with us for the core of this. We do have a cool little nugget that we released just recently, an update to the CMS library. And so that's up and out live right now. Do you want to just talk about that real quickly, Joe, before we talk about our upcoming Effin' Growth series?
Yep, absolutely. And I'm going to go share my screen here and show you what we have released. In CMS Library, we have a new version 1.7, and it has 2 new components added to it. One component being previous next. So I'm here on a Webflow template page, and I'm on post 10. I'll see that the previous post is 9, the next post is 11. If I were to go and navigate to 11, we would see previous as 10, next as 12. So this previous next is worked into the library. You update a few classes, you understand the logic. If you used our CMS library slider or tabs component, it works very similar. It's the same concept. And then the big CMS library release is our pagination add-on to the filter component and to the load more component. What happens is we are going to give you this custom pagination UI. And as I go and cycle through these elements, the UI is going to show these items in real time. I can go previous, I can go next, I can go and jump. My favorite part about it is now we can filter inside these lists and watch what happens as I go and apply these filters. The pagination is going to update in real time. As I navigate to different pages, I can go and cycle through this information very quickly, and I can continue to really customize this list to see exactly what I want to see. So with this pagination add-on, the load more, the filter component becomes very powerful. You can now filter through thousands of items, and you are, in a sense, filtering behind a pagination. It's not Webflow native pagination, but it is very powerful. It's customizable. And this is just the first version. We are going to continue growing CMS library, the pagination, the previous, next, everything. Just because we're doing Nobull does not mean we are stepping away from our JavaScript solutions.
Come back to your video there. I think one of the cool features about that, if people were seeing, is that it wasn't refreshing the page on your pagination. You know, that's like one of those frustrating things where, like, let's say you're down at the bottom of a page, you click next, and it takes you back to the top, and you're like, what just happened? And you don't realize that it did go to the next section, but you got to scroll to the bottom of the page to get to that section again. And so, again, having some of those well thought out features as part of the CMS library, that's live, right? People can use that right now, huh?
That's live. Videos are up, tutorials. You can go to the docs. You can go to the how-to walkthroughs. We are ready to implement this with you.
And let's see, if it isn't native Webflow pagination, does this affect page load time if you have 1,000 items, for example?
Yes, this is not for 100% of use cases. Just like every component in CMS library, it works for most use cases, not all use cases. The way that our load more component works is when you load items, it's going to load the initial set of items that you set in Webflow CMS. And then after the whole page is loaded, it's going to continue loading more items in that list. So if you have thousands of items, yes, this can get heavy to load, but it's not going to affect the initial load time of the site.
Great. Okay. We had one other question. We use Zapier and Integromat a lot in no code. Will Nobull Block unlock Airtable CMS automation type of procedures?
It should. Sure. If you set up automations inside your Airtable, you can set up our autosync, and autosync will automatically send that information to Webflow CMS. So yes, if you do have automations in Airtable, that data could be automated inside your Webflow CMS. Sure.
Great. Okay, so I think let's wrap with just telling them what this was. They just got a preview of, I think, what we're gonna do. This format was great. You guys can leave thoughts, comments, etc. In the post there on the video post. We'd love to hear your thoughts about the format, timing. This is nice and condensed. We had a lot of information in here, and we're gonna do this on a regular basis. Do you want to talk about a little bit of that F&G Growth podcast and what we're doing with that and what the purpose behind any of this will be moving forward?
Sure. Before Reimar joined our team here, I was always interested in doing some type of work with him. I think he's very good speaking. He's very conversational. And we've always had the idea to have some type of a talk show together with Finsweet and Reimar. Now that Reimar is part of our team, he is Finsweet. We are now thinking of this podcast, of this talk show in a different way. And we've come up with F&G Growth. It's going to be purely about business, agency, freelancer inside Webflow. And this is not going to cover any design, any development. We're not talking about hacks or news or anything like that. This is all about growing your agency, understanding the business side of it. And we're going to be giving a lot of information away. Right here, you see the first 10 shows. These are our first 10 expected shows here. And you can see it's all business based. Nobody's doing this right now. We are very good at this. This is what Reimar and I are more natural in. We are sales first, we are business first, and we're here to share this information with you. It's going to be a talk show, but also very interactive. We're going to take questions. We want people to ask specific questions about their agency, about how they can grow, about some of the issues they may be coming across. And we're going to answer these live for you because it's very possible that other people are feeling the exact same thing. Yeah. So we are here to help you. And that's what effing growth is all about.
Yeah. And I think we've got a ton of ideas for different types of segments, site breakdowns, agency advice, owner advice, and very specifically around building a high value business around this Webflow web design space. And so we're not going to be talking a lot about news in the industry, whatever, even though once in a while we will give you some inside scoop where we can about what's going on with Webflow and the whole industry. But mostly this is about selling yourself, selling your business, selling and growing whatever it is that you think provides value in this Webflow space. And so that's what we want to know. We're interested in content, show types, any questions you might have that you find value in, or anything that we can help you growing your agency. That's what this is about. So, and we're going to do one more thing moving forward. We didn't do it this time, but there will be a Zoom room that we're going to open up as part of this. And so the questions kind of just came sporadically from the different video plays and whatever. But as this grows, we're going to create like a little backstage green room for people to hang out with us before and after the show. And so this is also going to become like a virtual meetup where we're going to hang out and we're going to just answer your questions live and interact, solve your problems. The goal here is to help you all solve your problems, right? We faced a lot of problems on the path to where we are. Joe trying to grow Finsweet, me trying to get up to where I am, to where I can join forces with Finsweet. And now from here, you know, we think there's really unlimited potential with what comes next, both inside of Webflow, with the agency growth and everything else around that. And we want to share all of that. You guys know we have a passion for giving away tools and intellectual capital and resources in the space. We're going to do two things. We're going to double down on all of that, and we're going to open up some channels to really start capitalizing on that. First of all, with some of the various products, and then growing the community around all of those efforts. And so this is all about giving back to the community and helping all of you. We're excited to do it. Any final thoughts before we let people go?
Yeah, let's do the very final line item here. Effing growth, it's about education. We are continuing with education. We're going to start thinking about courses. And the first course that we are going to release, we're actively working on this, is a JavaScript course. Yes, it is a JavaScript course for Webflow. And that's where it becomes powerful. This is not a JavaScript course like every other JavaScript course you see out there. This is JavaScript inside Webflow. Webflow, with all of its limitations, has created a whole list of problems for us to go and find, for us to go and solve. And that's what Hacks is all about. It's about saying, hey, you can't do this in Webflow, so let's go and find another way to do it with JavaScript. And this type of JavaScript is just a little bit different than what you may write in a traditional environment. So this course is going to help you identify some of the more simple things you can do in Webflow to take your game to the next level. The goal of this course is not to make you a JavaScript developer. That is not what we are doing. You will not be a code master after this. The goal is for you to be familiar with JavaScript, to make it look more, to make you feel more comfortable with JavaScript, to help you bug fix, to help you understand why something's not working, and to write some very simple code to do some very powerful things. And this JavaScript course will definitely launch in 2021. We're working on it. It's juicy. And we are going to also charge you for this one. So
non-stop action-packed.
We do a lot of free stuff, but we're starting to charge.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think some of those higher level resources, the amount of time and effort they're taking from our team, it makes sense to start charging. We're still going to offer free Sweet.js support. We're still going to support the documents. We're still going to create free, cool tools for the community to use. CMS Library is going to maintain free. So like, everything we've been doing is it's gonna stay there and then more. We're just gonna add a couple extra tiers, and we're playing with some concepts in the educational space to wrap all of this up in a beautiful way to help everyone kind of just do more with Webflow. And so I think that's it. I got nothing else.
I think that's it.
Yeah. I don't think
We have any questions from the audience?
No, we're just getting love. Awesome. Shut up and take my money. I've just this week signed up for a beginner's JS course on Udemy. This is all I needed. Great. Carly says, whoa. Scott, F yes. F and yay. Ooh, we got, let's see. Oh, Paul, how often are we going to do these? I think we're going to try the show once a week. We're going to do like this press conference where we get interactive and kind of go over the top. We'll probably do that once a month. And so, yeah, it's going to be lots of fun. Expect us to experiment. This is going to constantly evolve and adapt. The format, layout, streaming, everything else. We're just going to constantly experiment with all of this. So you guys are amazing. Amazing, guys. Great. So thanks, everyone, for hanging with us. And we'll catch you on the next one.